ResortLoop.com, the gateway to the magic, is proud to be sponsored by Joffrey's Coffee and Tea Company. For a limited time, sign up for Joffrey's VIB newsletter. That stands for Very Important Bean. Sign up at Joffreys.com and get a code for 25% off your order. If your order is over $50 after the discount, you'll also get free shipping. Order your favorite Disney blends, Origin coffees, and a myriad of different teas at Joffreys.com.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
The body of water that you see to the right of our forward motion is the Seven Seas Lagoon. The Seven Seas Lagoon is a man-made creation that took 3 years and the removal of millions of cubic yards of earth to complete.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. This is Tim Scott. This is ResortLoop.com. This is a very special edition. So we've got some breaking news here around the DVC side of things. So we convened a special edition of the DVC Roundtable. Say hey guys.
Hey.
Hey.
Join us. We have an abbreviated group today. Today we have Emily Hansa-Hicks. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. And Mr. Joe Quattrochi.
Tim, things are reopening. Signs are turning up. You know, so things are opening back up. This is good.
It's a glorious time of year. Thank goodness. Unfortunately, Rebecca Toon and Brett Coates couldn't join us tonight. We missed them already, but hopefully.
We miss you.
We will mock them off the air, privately, right. So for not being here.
That's right. Anyway, so we have a special announcement here that Disney Vacation Club recently announced their phased reopening. So there was
it's exciting.
It's very exciting. Emily sent me a note with all this information on it. I'm going to just read the important part of it. We all know about their increased cleaning, their hand sanitizing stations, additional wash points, all that kind of stuff. But we've got the very important section here I thought we should talk about. The article goes on to say, as part of our continued efforts to provide flexibility during these uncertain times, we are further changing and extending our temporary policies regarding expiring points. April, June, and now August, September, and October 2019 use year points that are set to expire in 2020 and that were used for reservations during the closure period will be extended for 1 year from the current expiration date. Additionally, April, June, and now August, September, and October 2018 use year points that were banked in 2019 use years and used for these reservations will now expire November 30th, 2020. And that'll come on fast, I have a feeling. This temporary policy, only includes expiring points that were used to book a stay, arriving between March 12th and the end of the closure period, and that involve a reservation canceled after February 29th. So there's a whole bunch of little criteria here. And then additional information, of course, is available on their website. What do you guys take away from this announcement?
So when I first read this announcement, I got very nervous because I was like, oh no, I banked points this year. I'm a little nervous. They're taking my points away. Mm-hmm. That doesn't seem fair. I paid for those points, etc. And then I realized that based on the criteria, this will not affect me at all. It looks like it's only really going to affect a very, very tiny little portion of points. Joe, do you see it differently?
No, I see it the same way. I mean, like they're even extending. I mean, even though the 2018 points that were banked into 2019 are extending to the end of November, they're still giving you a little more time on them. So this is, if you're concerned about if your points fall into some of these categories, call up DVC and just make sure that you're using the right points. If you've got a trip coming up, make sure you're using the proper points for those stays that are upcoming. Make sure you're using the points that are going to expire and not other points. I know sometimes, with banking points, you got to bank the right contracts and stuff. So just if you're not sure, just call them up, make sure that you're using the right points. If you have a stay already booked, if you have points expiring and you want to try to book a stay before the end of November 2020, which is for the October, which is the 2018 use year points that we were just talking about that were banked in the 2019. I always say, listen, if you're not 100% sure, call up DVC, give yourself a little bit of time to be on the phone with them. If you're not sure how to do it online, and just talk with a cast member over there and just make sure that you're using the right points so they don't expire. That's the best way, because sometimes I know even when I bank my points, I want to make sure I'm banking the right points and not banking contracts I should be using. They're going to expire and vice versa. So, listen, they're trying to do what they can. It's a crazy time. They're trying to be as fair as possible. They're doing a lot of things that they don't probably have to do with extending points and this and that. They could just be like, you know what, you're SOL, which is, nobody wants that to happen. So I give them credit. They're doing what they can. I think they're communicating a lot better with the members now than they were when this whole ordeal first started. I know, we all listen to a lot of their shows, and there's a lot of the same complaints about the lack of communication from DVC. And I think that's better that they're being more, upfront and being more, upfront with what's going on and stuff like that. So I think I give them credit for that.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit easier now for them to be upfront, because they sort of, when you're talking about the end dates, the beginning dates are harder to say anything with any certainty. You know what I mean? So sort of in their defense, as far as being so unclear at the beginning, I think everybody was unclear. Most people still don't really know how long the impacts of, the pandemic are really going to be felt. And then of course, there's just other things going on as well. And there's just a lot of factors, but I think that they do feel a little bit more in control when they're talking about restarting, if that makes sense. So I thought the other, so just to clarify real quick, it's that policy very clearly says the policy only includes the expiring points that were used to book a stay arriving between March 12th and the end of the closure period. And this is the compliance person in me, and that involve a reservation canceled after February 29th. So if you are not one of those people, this does not apply to you or your points. So it's like it's a 2-pronged test there. Not to make it totally nerdy. But so if you're hearing this and you're saying, oh my gosh, does this apply to me? You have to say, well, did I use expiring points to book a stay between March 12th and July, June, I'm sorry. Oh, I think people know this, but in case you didn't, June 15th, Vero Beach and Hilton Head are reopening, or expected to reopen.
Nice.
And the other DVCs are expected to reopen on June 22nd.
Yep.
So again, you're looking at that period between March. If you used expiring points to book a stay between March 12th and one of those two dates, and that involve a reservation canceled after February 29th.
Yeah, that's why I said you just double check with your DVC, member services to make sure that you're using the right points, because, if you have multiple contracts, I still get confused, But, and I don't, Emily, I don't think, if you are if you're on the border, just say if you had if you're on the border of these dates and you technically don't fall in there, and you call up Disney, I don't know if you're going to get that magical Disney thing where they might cut you a break, because they're really trying to get their stuff in order and trying to be fair about it. So if that's not the case, don't be mad at the cast members. They're just kind of doing what they're told. They're on the front lines of things. We're trying to be fair and equitable, get everybody's reservations in order. So, a lot of times I know you can call up Disney, try to do the right thing for you and make it magical. But I don't know what the leeway is going to be on this with, if the cutoff is by a day or so, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's always gonna be somebody who misses the cutoff by a day or two. So I don't know how forgiving they're going to be or how accommodating they're going to be. So if you do call up member services, just remember the cast member, they're just doing what they can, try to be understanding, they'll do what they can for you, but just don't take it out on them, if it doesn't go the way that you wanted it to go, you know what I'm saying? So, but I'm excited that, like I said before on the show opening, Emily, that I told Tim that, that the resorts are starting to open up. I mean, I'm not secret about this. Like I say this on the Mickey Dudes as well. I think I love the resorts more than I love the parks. And having gone to Disney Springs twice with Jen for dinner over the last couple of weeks, and I've gone to play golf a bunch of times there as well, because the golf course have stayed open. I went and played Lake Buena Vista last Friday, in the afternoon, and just you're driving into Saratoga and seeing it completely empty. It was just like, oh, I miss this place. And just, not being able to go up into, Turf Club for lunch or for like early dinner. Like I just can't wait for the resorts to open up and just to get a little bit of sense of normalcy back. You take these kind of things for granted, and I think it's going to be, I'm just happy to see that DVC is going to be online first, and it's going to maybe set the trend for the other resorts, the cash resorts, to follow suit.
I'm with you. I feel like this is so pathetic. I think I said this on one of our earliest shows, though. One of the hardest things about being, like in quarantine, if you will, is knowing that like the place that you think about to make yourself happy is just not even an option then. like I had this momentary, I think it was like a dream or something. And I woke up and I was thinking like, we should just, like, we're stuck here. We should just go. We should just go for a weekend to Disney. We could do that. We could work from the off, and then I was like, no, they're not even open. It's not even an option.
Right.
So there's just this kind of like that's a really kind of a depressing thing to think about. So even though I'll be honest, I think you guys come down differently on this than I do, but I'm not going to be going anytime soon. I think the earliest we might go is January or February, which, by the way, I have a follow-up question for you guys about that. I think we're going to be like sort of slower returners, but I'm just going to be really happy to know that it's open, if that makes any sense. Even if I'm not there, I just like knowing it's there, which is probably why a lot of us listen to this podcast, because we just like to think about it or know it's there somewhere.
And I completely agree with you. I mean, and the fact that I've been working from my home in Florida and being so close. I'm not down the street. I'm like an hour and 20 minutes, hour and 15 minutes away. But we go for a lot of times we go for like a little staycation or for like the evening for dinner or whatever. It's worth the drive. And the fact that it's so close and it's not even an option. So many nights we're just like we have nothing to do. We're like we can't even go like to Disney Springs for a night. We can't even go to like grab dinner at like the Wave or something or walk around the Poly, whatever. The option's not there. And I think with returning, and one of the things, speaking about returning, is like I purposely have not even logged into my DVC account because I don't even know what's even available in the fall coming up. Like me and Jen would just even love to do like a little staycation, like even if we didn't even get to go to the parks. And the fact that like I don't even know what's even available because I'm just afraid to see like nothing, and just going nuts. So I don't even want to get my hopes up for like a return that might not happen for a while. So. Like right now I have reservations for January for marathon weekend. I finally got into the marathon or to the half marathon, which I agree, was very hard to get into this year, which I think is a product of this whole thing because I think they've either limited the entries or I don't know, but it was a lot harder to get into this year than it has been in previous years. And so I don't know how the opening's going to be. I don't know if they're going to like, phase the openings of the resorts. Who knows? But, obviously we know what they're going to do with the parks. But, it's going to be interesting to see. Like, hopefully I can get a staycation in, like, somewhere in the fall. But it might just be January as well when we come back. But we'll see what happens with, I'll start probably poking around the reservation system to see what things look like. I think if you're one of those people who have expiring points, who fall into that category, if you need to make a reservation, now that the dates have been set, for June 22nd for, everything but Hilton Head and Vero. I definitely think you should get on that. And, but have limited expectations for your trip though. If you get a reservation for September, October, don't expect it to be the full Disney World experience. We were just talking about this, the three of us were just talking about this before we started recording, they're having a hard time, the college program's still, suspended for the time being. They're having to fill, they're not looking for cast members to fill roles at Epcot, that are usually filled by the exchange visitors from the representative countries. I mean, that are not either return home or, the program's on hold right now. So it's not going to be the trip that you're used to, the limiting of the characters and the fireworks shows. So whatever you're deciding to do with your points, just have a low expectation. And then just anything could be better that's above, that exceeds it, whatever's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? If you have a low expectation, anything will be better than what you're expecting. So, and I think as DVC members, I think that a lot of us are return visitors. So it's not like we're going, this is a once in a lifetime trip or saving up for 5 years. And, we pay dues, we paid into the program. So a lot of us are kind of veterans. So I think we have that understanding. But hopefully that if there's new members out there, they kind of have that, it might not be exactly what you had expected, but I'm excited to see that, the wheels are moving, the ball is rolling, and we've got some dates, and every day is closer to going back to, full throttle essentially. So that's a good thing.
You know what? You're so right. I like that attitude because it does feel like sometimes like this is just like kind of like a tunnel of darkness and you just needed the light at the end. And now it's sort of like, you're at that halfway point in the tunnel where you can see the light. And it doesn't really matter that it's tomorrow or 2 months from now. It just matters that there is like the end of the tunnel and you can believe that there is an end. You know what I mean? So,
and I agree. And with this whole, COVID-19 thing, eventually we'll be able to deal with it. And I'm sure eventually, either through herd immunity or a vaccine or whatever, like I'm not a doctor or scientist, but like it'll be one of those things where like, we just get used to it. And if it's involved wearing masks at the park, that's what it is. If it involves just more social distancing or giving each other a little more space and enhanced cleaning measures, whatever it is, we'll get used to it and we'll get back to, doing what we do in the parks. I mean,
You're so
I think
right.
that's the thing. Every day is closer to, getting on the right track. We're not going backwards. We're not sitting still. We're not just wondering, well, when we get open. We got dates. We're moving forward. As somebody who's in Florida, the bars are now opened up here, regular bars.
Mm-hmm.
The state is really, there's traffic everywhere. Now the state looks, besides, every place is a little bit different, but like where I am, it's pretty almost back to normal. Not everything is completely open, but like there's traffic everywhere. People are out about moving. So I-4 looks almost back to normal traffic. So, it's every day is like I said, it's getting closer. So which is a good thing. So, but I'm really hoping, Tim, that, from when you told us this is what we're going to talk about tonight, one of the topics that I really hope that whoever falls into this category, that they get the results that they want, they get the trip plan that they want, that they don't lose out on their points, that Disney kind of will work with people, to make it right. I really hope that, like, if it's only a small number of people that are affected, that everybody kind of gets what they want out of it, because it's, it's not Disney's fault that this has happened, but it's also not the members' fault that this happened either. It's just kind of
right.
So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I think everybody will be patient with everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm
really trying to be positive tonight. So.
I like it. You're giving me.
Being positive tonight. So.
Right.
I'm feeling really good.
Yeah, like you were saying, Joe, I'm not sure. I think maybe this might be, I don't know if they keep track of this, like a record number of maybe people just doing resort stays. Maybe they don't want to risk being in the parks, but they want their Disney fix.
Right. Oh man, they better amp up room service. They better be ready for all those.
And I think a lot of I think a lot of it too is going to bear on staff. I really believe that. I think a lot of it is going to be like, do they have the staff to clean rooms, and do they have the staff to open the restaurants? And take Saratoga for example, my love, right? It's like, are they really going to want a staff turf club right away? Right. They maybe will want to get chefs into like California Grill, Ohana, Citrico's, like Boma, Sanaa, the big name restaurants. Turf Club might not be on the top of the list to open up. Well, so maybe that's going to be one of those things where like you stay at a resort and it might not be fully functioning yet, But listen, if you can give me give me some of the restaurants open, and at least give me the pools being open in summertime. If as long as it's safe, I'm sure with the chlorine and stuff, I'm sure it'll be safe to be in the pools. Social distance with the chairs, whatever. Everybody give each other a little bit of space at the pools. You know what I'm saying? Like, and if it's safe to swim, that's great. Give me that. Give me, some of the, the other activities that are there, and hopefully that'll be good enough to hold over people for a while. You might not see everything open at your resort, but maybe it'll be just enough to be like, you know what? Jen and I are at Saratoga. It's not fully open, but instead of going to Turf Club, we got a reservation over at Sanaa or over at Disney Springs, and that'll be just good enough for it. We're still in Disney. We're still doing it. I'm willing to make some exact. I'm willing to make a little sacrifice, until they're fully.
I'm willing to go to Sanaa if I have to.
Well, I'm just using that as an example, But
it's hard work we live.
You might have to, first world problems. You might have to, put some things on hold to get other things, up and running as well. So.
By the way, this transcends first world problems. This is Disney World problems.
That's true.
It's Disney World problems, and so.
The counterpoint to what you just said, though, there are so many people that are starving, especially in the food service industry, to go back to work. And I can say this from a perspective of, I'm in Ohio. We have had some pretty stringent stay-at-home orders. And by the way, I am grateful for those as a person who has immunocompromises myself, and immunocompromised children. So I am grateful that the decision, I didn't have to make the decision, and my work had to respect it and all that, although they would have. I know they would have. Love you, work. But my point is, there's many people. I have friends. I have a wonderful friend that we went to Disney actually in January, perfect timing with. And she is a brilliant baker, and she bakes at one of the top steakhouses, the top steakhouse, I think, in the state. And so she's just raging to go back to work. She cannot wait to get back to work. And then, so they were supposed to open this week. And as everybody knows, there were some there was some violence in Cleveland that caused some damage to buildings. And so we're not going to get into that tonight because we're keeping it super positive tonight, guys.
Yes, absolutely.
But the point is, she can't go back to work till July. And there's all these people I know in Orlando that work in the food service industry, and they want to go back to work. So those chefs did not just disappear. So it is quite possible that they'll be able to fully staff those restaurants and like very quickly, because, you know, those people I don't think that those people just disappeared, and it's not like they could have just gone and found, I mean, they may have taken another different kind of job, but that whole industry was put on pause. So you might just get lucky and there might be Turf Club. I'm just saying. And I also imagine they'll staff up those resort restaurants first because they know that people are going to be there. Do you know what I mean? And not be leaving as much.
At least it's definitely the more popular ones. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that, you know, the ones that are the staples that make the money. That bring in, the large, because, listen, I mean, it's also a business too. Disney's taking out billions and billions of dollars in loans. I mean, that's no secret. They got to pay the bills.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I mean, obviously Ohana is taking in California Girls taking more money than Turf Club. So just to use, so yeah, I mean, listen, it's a giant train that got stopped, and it's going to take a little bit of inertia to get it going again. So all in due time. And like I said, listen, we're not ignorant. There's a lot going on in the world right now. We're not saying we're not acknowledging it, but we're just trying to think positive here and think about the good things. And Disney World, first world Disney problems. I said this a positive thing tonight that we've got some news that
here.
Exactly. That's why we're here to think to think positive about stuff that's going on. And Disney stuff always makes us all happy. And obviously me and Emily and love doing a show with Tim and stuff like that. And so that's why, we got great news about the resorts opening up and the DVC opening up. And that's, I'm excited for it. I mean, it's positive, good news.
That's right. It was definitely show worthy.
It's definitely show worthy.
I have a quick question for you guys.
Yeah.
So we can just kick around my personal problems here. my first world Disney problems. So I went, and this will just be your little preview, Joe, because I too had not gone on the DVC site forever. And then about last week, my husband and I were just kind of just in a place, we just needed that Disney hit. And he had said something like, I think this is the year we drive to Disney.
Nice.
And we've never driven to Disney with our family. I mean, I've driven to Disney, but he has never done that. And so this is going to be it. We're going to, next year, our trip will mitigate the risk by driving.
I love road trips. I'm the king of road trips.
Yes.
I'm so excited because I've always wanted to go on a road trip, like a really long one with them. And he's just not as into it because he's from an aviation family, my husband.
Gotcha.
So, and I get it with our little kids, it was a problem to try to do a road trip. They're little tiny bladders and everything. But now they're like all of ages where I think we can stick them in car seats or booster seats, I guess. Weird. We're going to have to take the car seats out, guys. We haven't driven in so long. It's weird. But anyway.
Is the Tesla uncharged?
What's that?
The Tesla charge die?
Funny you should ask, because it did not, but the 12 volt, like every car has a 12 volt that runs the electronics.
Mm-hmm. Your alternator charges, yeah.
The main battery didn't die, but it's not just the Tesla, because my husband's truck's his battery died too.
Oh wow.
So we both had our batteries go out the same week. So I did get the main battery replaced in the Tesla. That was one of my few venturing out of the house situations.
Are you asking Tim and I for advice on driving down or pros and cons? What are we looking at here?
I'm bad at storytelling, guys. No, so we are looking at February, and so here's what I was gonna tell you, Joe. It looks like it's kind of wide open. Weirdly, and now after I say this, people are going to book it up.
Well, it's funny you say that because I want to run Princess next year. That's one of the races I haven't run, so it's funny. Maybe I need to get on that tonight. So Tim, don't put the show out until I made my reservations. So.
All right, yeah. We'll do what we can do.
So, but here's the question: normally, I can, especially on an off weekend, like February, something like not a Princess weekend, say the week before or after, not President's Day weekend, the week before or after, some kind of off weekend. We can totally get a room at the 7-month window. But this year I'm a little nervous. Do you guys think I should just try to book? We're going to have to borrow because we always do. I have to make sure we even have the points to do that. But do you think we should book early and book something at our home resort just to make sure we have a place to stay? Or do you think it's safe to wait to the 7-month window as we normally would?
Well, you have to borrow both ways, either or. Like if you book at your home resort, you have to borrow or no?
If I can wait, so our use year is August. So if I wait till August, I won't have to do. I probably will be able to just use 2020 points, or wait 20. Yeah.
I mean, if you're not looking to go on out like either President's Day weekend or for Princess weekend, I mean,
I mean, you don't think it's going to be like a huge flood?
I don't.
Like,
I mean,
people like us.
So let me tell you this, Emily. What is the advice we always give everybody else who emails the show? We always say, book your home resort, and you can always switch over. So
I know.
Which
is normally what I would do. Although I get a little bit lax when it comes to like September visits after school starts.
Unless you just roll the dice and have 7-month window ready to go, and if you get Saratoga, you get Saratoga. I mean, if you're happy with or that totally, Key West, if you're okay with that, then you know you're good to go. That's like Jen and I. We always book like we're Saratoga. We don't care. It's like we love Saratoga.
Right.
Like it's funny. I always talk about it. People are like probably think I'm nuts. Like listen, it's my little quiet getaway. I love it.
No, it's great. It's like it also feels like an adult resort, and you can walk right over to Disney Springs. I mean, that's one of our home resorts. That's the other. So to your point, one of the things we were thinking about is where do we stay? And of course, Boardwalk is a great like spend for points. But we were thinking Old Key West and Saratoga, there's an added safety element to those resorts because you don't have these joint entrances. Mm-hmm. You don't have like a million people going in the same entrances. Like Old Key West, I think you have the least amount of entrance sharing.
True.
But Saratoga is the same way, like where you have a limited amount of people that are going into the same like sort of lobby area, if you will, to get into your room. So you can actually do a lot more social distancing in one of those resorts like that, where you can actually, especially Old Key West, but definitely secondly Saratoga, where they're spread up and you can actually park by your resort.
I was going to say.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's a great point. Just parking right outside your room, you're going to miss a lot of people that way, especially if you're driving park to park instead of taking the bus.
I think
since you'll have your car.
I think they're pretty equal, Emily. Like, I mean, I think you know, it's not like you're staying at like Animal Kingdom Lodge where you're parking like downstairs and you're like all the cars are on top of each other and you're using a shared hallway and stuff. I mean, Old Key West, you might share a stairwell with somebody like as you go up the stairs, but like, I mean, honestly, how many times are you really like, unless like you're just worried about like touching handrails and stuff, but I mean, honestly, like, I mean, you're gonna be touching things all over Disney regardless. So I think either of those resorts, well, you know, it happens, but I think either of those resorts, I think are pretty much even. And the good thing is that if you have a vehicle and you want to go Tim and Bob style and drive to the parks, you know, they're both like, you know, they're next to each other for pretty much. So I mean, to drive to the parks is not really a huge deal. You know, you just get in your car and go. So, and that's one of the things actually Jen and I do. Like, you know, when we stay at Saratoga or Old Key West, like if there's days like we're like we missed the bus and we're just sitting there waiting, we're like the heck with this, and we'll just get in the car and go then because your car's right there. I mean, so that's the one good thing about having the car on site. And Tim, I don't know if you've experienced that as well. Where you're just like, you know, you want to take the Disney transportation, we're just like, you know what? Let's get in the car and go. Like, I'm not waiting.
Absolutely.
I don't know
There's nothing worse than waiting for a bus and just missing getting on that bus.
Oh. What if we get addicted to actually driving? It can be weird.
The only thing is, like, we don't drive to Magic Kingdom. That's always the most annoying because obviously TTC parking and stuff. It's but Epcot, we've done that. Animal Kingdom, it's always a lot of times easier too. So Studios. You know what I'm saying? So, or if you have a dinner reservation at a resort, you know, someone's like, oh, we're going to go to Yachtsman tonight. We'll go park at the Yacht Club, you know, a couple hours before our reservation. We'll go to World Showcase, have a drink, and come back in. You're good to go. I mean, so and then when you're done, you just pop in your car and head home. So, as much as I love Disney transportation, there is something nice about having a car as well. I try to take the bus as much as possible, but sometimes the car is a nice luxury. And I said, Old Key West or Saratoga, your car will pretty much be right in front of your place. You know, they're either or. You know, there's really not too much of a difference between the both. So I think you'll be okay either way.
Yeah.
If you're worried about the distancing, and anything, even with the pools too. In February, if the weather's good, you know, they both have multiple pools. So it's not like you're all at the one clown pool at like Boardwalk or sharing the pool over at like Yacht Beach Club.
That is true.
You know, they have a
there's
bunch of
3
pools that
feature
are
pools.
yeah. There's a bunch of pools that are quiet at those both resorts. So if you can give yourself a little bit more room, you know, for your kid.
You're selling me. You're selling
Well,
me.
I'm saying,
And
you know,
also,
it's a little quieter. I mean, they're
Right.
quieter resorts. So
and the great part is that is one of my home resorts, so I can book it now. So,
I mean, listen, I'm sure I'm probably the only person that says I like the some of the pools at Saratoga more than other ones, but I like quiet. I like to sit there.
because they are
just, like,
gorgeous. Yeah.
You know, I like to sit there and be left alone. It's just that for me, and I know it's crazy. You go to Disney World to like be left alone. I'm like, well, yeah, you can have both. I mean, you can go have fun at the parks and come back to your resort and relax and doze a little bit, and not be bothered. I mean, that's the great thing about those larger resorts is you can have your quiet time as well. So,
Right.
you know, and maybe it's something Emily, for you to try something. This will be your opportunity, an excuse to try something different. You know,
Right. And I don't think we've stayed. Honestly, we haven't stayed. Our friends stayed at Saratoga. We booked all of our friends at Saratoga this January, but we haven't stayed at Saratoga since our first trip. Right around when we bought, we like said we were going to go on a test stay at DVC, and then we bought beforehand because we're impatient apparently. But we still went on the test stay with the rented points at Saratoga, and I think that's the last time that we stayed at Saratoga, believe it or not, because we were just hopping from every other resort. So it would be kind of nice to revisit it, and and we could book it now, which is a huge incentive because it does look like the early spring, if probably for not picking a running weekend, is pretty open. Yeah. So I didn't check Princess Weekend. I was like expressly picking a week that I thought nobody would be there. So, and because the schools have been like so off and on. And by the way, shout out to Chagrin Falls school system. It's amazing. The things they have done for distance learning, they're great. But it has put us in this place where we're like, what is a school year? We're not really worried about taking the kids out for a week, you know, because everything seems so like fluid. So,
and I think maybe a lot of people are holding off their vacation as well, because I know in certain school districts and stuff, like it's so up in the air right now with like how they're going to be doing classes, it'll be full time. This and that. Colleges don't know what they're doing yet. I mean, so it's and you know it's crazy. People don't even know if even daycare is going to be open. That's the one thing about this is like. Everywhere in the country and the world is still different. Like, you know, some places were barely touched by all this stuff going on. Some places were absolutely like decimated. I mean, so everywhere is different. And that's the one thing about, you know, the Disney parks is people come from everywhere. Everybody's situation is different. So some people maybe are in the tri-state area, the Northeast, maybe are still kind of getting back on their feet. And then some people who are, you know, in the Midwest or some other places that were not as heavily impacted, they go, oh, we can plan our trip right now. We know our school year is going to be, our jobs are back to normal, you know, and we can go ahead and do this. So it's it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. But I think it's cool that you're going to be driving down. I mean, I love road trips. So
road trips are great. Have your kids ever?
Hours. I don't know about you, man, but I made the drive from Jersey to Daytona. It's like 17 hours. I made it one shot by myself.
Oh, absolutely.
I just go. So I could drive for hours at a time. Now, granted, I'm not traveling with 3 kids, you know, and a wife. You know what I'm saying? So Emily, I feel for Matt.
I don't have a wife, so it makes you feel better.
But you know, I feel for Matt. But you know, I'm saying like I don't have 3 little ones in the back asking to go to the bathroom.
Why are you sympathizing with him and not me, Judo? Like,
well, you know, listen.
Who do you think has to take all of the children to the bathroom? Even
you know why I sympathize with him because you're the lawyer and you can't win an argument against the lawyer, right? So
he is also a lawyer.
Oh, he is? I didn't know that. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, my God. I'd like to be a fly on the wall for that. See, I didn't know he was a lawyer all these years.
Yeah, I know he's a secret lawyer. I always say that. He's like, I'm not a secret lawyer. But no, we are not. We are the kind of couple that we're like, we sell our arguments. We do not argue at home. Like, you have to pay for that. So if our spouse is not going to pay for us to argue with them, we are not going to argue with them.
Well, you have to bring witnesses, the whole thing.
Too, so it's like, I don't know if I want to argue with him anyway. So.
I'm not too scared of him.
I'm sure you're not.
But I think it's cool. So Emily, I mean, I know it's months and months away, but like we have to make a mental note of this. And Tim, since you are the producer of the show, we need to figure out the update on this. We need to know the
road trip,
the trip report of how this road trip goes.
Maybe we get a bunch of people together
and we do a March show,
and we do a convoy down.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say we get a bunch of listeners together and we all do a convoy down.
Right.
Yes.
And Tim, you do road trips, right?
Yes.
That's like you guys, and I think you guys road trip for cruises even, right?
Yes, we've done it for that also.
Which, really quick, I just want to shout out to SpaceX, which is my other love.
Yes.
Other than, Tesla, it's kind of the sister company, but like one of the things that pained me so deeply was that we have been on 2 Disney cruises, and that is like, I can't wait till the cruise industry can recover, because I know my husband doesn't really want to go on one again, but I do. And I really want to go check out Cape Canaveral.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so cool. I may or may not have watched like every minute of both days, where the Thursday where it was supposed to launch and then the Saturday. And yes, I made my children make model like paper rockets and identify the first and second stages. And like, they know way more than 5 and 7-year-olds should about this.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh my gosh, how cool was that launch, right?
Oh,
It was very cool. And we could definitely, we could definitely see it from my house. Although last night,
Could you really? Oh my gosh.
yeah, we could see it because we look southwest. We could see it. But last night there was a smaller launch. They were launching, I guess, to some satellites or supplies, whatever. But it was cloudy. We could not. We were out there. It was like 9:30 to launch or 9:25. And we were watching it and on our phones, and it was so much cloud cover. The ceiling was so low we could not see it last night, which kind of stunk. But we could definitely see it. Now, obviously, we don't see it as well as if you're like in the Canaveral area, but I mean, we see the orange glow, and you can see it kind of going over. So it is pretty cool living along the Space Coast. It definitely gives you an appreciation for just all that goes into it and stuff, and it's pretty cool. And my wife's been to Kennedy Space Center. I've been there. I have not gone, like, as a tourist. I've ridden my motorcycle around the property. If anybody rides motorcycles, the area around Kennedy Space Center is amazing. But I'm hoping to go and actually see the attraction there one of these days. But it is pretty cool to see our space program so active again, and that it's between SpaceX and NASA. So it's pretty cool. So.
And just as like a little shout out, guys, if you are feeling down, which many of us are, about many things that are going on in the world, pandemic and otherwise, I am feeling tonight, maybe because I'm talking to you guys, I'm feeling optimistic. And I just want everybody, like, if you need to take a minute, I know this sounds cheesy, but like, watch a movie like Tomorrowland. I know it's a little long and not critically acclaimed, but watch a movie like Tucker, or watch a movie like The Rocketeer, something that's like motivating to you, and it reminds you that like we are all in this together. We're all building towards a better tomorrow, and like there are terrible growing pains, and we're all experiencing them. But one of the most amazing things about the pandemic is that you can see all these people that have come together and have made very tough sacrifices for the greater good. You know what I mean? And that is like something that I feel like is very Disney, like this sort of like idea of progress and future. And so to the extent that you can, as Disney listeners, to the extent that you can maintain that hope and that progress and that tomorrow, like that is, I feel like what will get us through, that optimism and that belief that we can change, like, that we can change the flaws in our world and just make them a beautiful world showcase, right?
Emily, that's fantastic.
Open soon. That's my
favorite. Yeah, I mean, Tim, that sounds like a great idea. I'm gonna go watch maybe Days of Thunder tonight. Maybe Smoking the Bandit.
Oh, Smoking the Bandit.
What am I? Something that makes you happy.
Yeah,
I will say some of the stuff that we're living through now, we're eventually going to see at the end of the American Adventure Show. By the way, edited in there.
Oh yes.
So just keep that in mind.
I keep telling my kids, you are living the most amazing history, and I'm confident it will end up fine and better. But we drove around our town, boarded up for a while. We drove around the town. We we are very in touch with what's going on, and all I can just say is that like this is all steps. They're all steps to a better tomorrow, right? It's a great, big, beautiful, tomorrow.
Yes,
shining at the end
of every day.
Every day. You really don't want me to start singing because I'll just start singing. I don't think our listeners. I don't think Tim's listeners want to hear me start singing. Right. It's a great big beautiful tomorrow.
Or me to try to do the harmony.
At this point, we'll pay for even that, Joe.
I think we better just wrap on that because that was a great way to end the show, Emily.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
All right,
Emily, where can people find you?
You can find me on Facebook, and I am doing all kinds of fun things, but Rocketeers, Looper Nation Live, and that's pretty much it when I'm not homeschooling my children and trying to work a full-time job and all the other things. But we're optimistic today, so it's cool.
Absolutely.
How about you, Joe?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Joe Quiet. You can also find me over at the Mickey Dudes Podcast. Everybody take care of yourselves out there. Think positive. Every day is a good day. And Tim, I'm looking forward to next month's show.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for joining me today. Everybody out there, thanks for listening to the special edition of the DVC Roundtable. We'll do a full show, hopefully, with everybody by the end of the month. Everyone, please go out there and share. The gateway to the magic. Wrap it up, guys.
See everybody.
Do.
See everybody.
Yeah.
There we go.
Everybody.
Vacation memories will stay with you and your family for a lifetime. The Resort Loop Travel Group was created with this in mind. Our fee-free services will relieve you of the stress and confusion of finding and booking the best vacation at the best price. After booking, we will continue to monitor for ways to save you even more on your vacation. We will check for any upcoming packages and discounts to save you as many vacation dollars as possible. Resort Loop Travel Group, gateway to your magical vacation memories. Get a quote, or for more information, visit ResortLoop.com.